Vamos a grabar aquí. Y muy buenos días. ¿Cómo están todos?
Bien, bien, muy
¿Todo
bien,
bien?
muy bien.
Más o menos. Hace frío.
Frío.
Hace frío. Ay, 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 ay. Fui esta mañana fui al dentista,
Mm.
a la última cita. ah, Crown time, permanent crown time. Yeah, that's a fast
Muy
appointment. So,
bueno.
yeah, see. Uh, so I'm a happy camper. I'm back in place and ready for class to start. Fantástico. Hoy es la última clase de las clases de la temporada o de la estación del otoño. That's our last autumn session. So after this, we go on a hiatus for, is it 2, 3 weeks? I don't know, like January 8th is the Monday when everything starts back up, because they will not start on January 1st. That's a Monday, but that is New Year's Day. So, el 10, entonces, will that be the 10th? Well, you'll get an email when it's coming up a week ahead. So, okay, and we're all set. We're set to go. We've got sufficient people, so everything's looking good. Everything's green light. Vale, bien. Me imagino que ustedes tienen preguntas. I imagine that you guys will have questions today. We're going to kind of clean up with this kind of initial dip into the whole subjunctive thing, the murky waters, yeah, well, they are kind of murky waters for those of us who speak English. The quicksand, maybe you may consider. Uh, anyway, we're going to do some practice with that. What I did want you to do to start off, what I hoped is that you would come up with three examples using these impersonal phrases, three of your own, and then we'll go to any questions you had from the homework video. So, para empezar, por ejemplo, estos son, o estas son las frases impersonales, las expresiones impersonales. They all start with es. So things like es imposible. Y muy importante, es imposible que, ¿sí? Es posible que, es probable que, ¿sí? Bien. The one you cannot do, the thing you cannot do is something like es verdad que. You can do es verdad que, but it will not use subjunctive. So, okay. Obviously, a phrase like es verdad que, es obvio que, those talk about truth, fact, certainty. So that is why a phrase, an impersonal phrase like es verdad que, cannot use subjunctive. But the others will. Es imposible que, es posible que, es probable que, es curioso que. Really, the vast majority of any kind of an adjective you combine with es. And in this case, es will not mean is, but it is. That's why it's impersonal. It is. It's talking about a situation. Entonces, por ejemplo, es probable, por ejemplo, es probable que yo compre un nuevo par de zapatos hoy porque tengo una tarjeta de regalo de mi esposo. ¿Bien? Es probable que yo compre, no es probable que yo compro, es probable que yo compre un nuevo par de zapatos hoy. Sus ejemplos. Un voluntario, volunteer to give our 3 follow-up
I'll do one.
Okay, vale, gracias, Trish.
Ojalá que todos ustedes tengan una buena Navidad o Hanukkah.
Gracias.
Y gracias, y muchísimas gracias. Bien, bien. Vale, sí. Bueno, otro.
I got one.
Ok. Uy, ay, 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 ay. Diana, Mariana y Jan, y sí, todos. Diana primero, ¿sí? O primera.
Es interesante que el metro de la Ciudad de México tenga vagones exclusivos para las mujeres.
Sí, así es. Muy bien, muy bien. Es interesante que. Bien. Bueno, Mariana.
Okay. Es importante que le compré regalos a mis nietos. Ojalá que a ellos les gusten.
Sí, ojalá que les gusten. Hopefully they like them. Sí. Y es importante. This is one of those situations where it's going to be important to pronounce that compre word as compre, not compre. Okay. Entonces, sí, cuidado. Here's the one thing that you have to be careful with because it does matter. Compre has a different meaning than compre. Even though in writing you may spell it out perfectly correctly, compre es el subjuntivo. Es importante que compre. It's important that I buy. Okay. Compré, when you punch that e ending, it is no longer subjunctive. It means I bought, that it's a fact, and it makes it past. Okay. Bien. Entonces, la pronunciación, the pronunciation with these things that have a letter E ending will be important because they're spelled the same, but one gets a punch on a different syllable than the other. And people will hear that difference. And there you go. Okay. Vale. Bueno, Jan.
Es importante que el niño termine su tarea antes de jugar los videojuegos.
Okay. Vale. Sí. Okay. Vale. Bueno, gracias. Otro
Gracias.
ejemplo. Sí, bien.
Sí, es fantástico que es fantástico que vayamos al Desert Botanic Garden y veamos las luces de Navidad.
Sí, buen ejemplo, sí. Excelente, sí, del jardín botánico. Porque tenemos un jardín botánico aquí en Phoenix, que es un jardín muy famoso. Y siempre tiene luces y actividades, bandas con música, todo, ¿sí? Bien. Terry, ¿tienes algo?
Muy bien, pero no, mi Zoom, no, working, that's not
No
trabajar.
funciona.
No funciona en mi computador, so necesito
Tienes.
mi teléfono.
En tu. Zoom está. Tienes Zoom en tu celular.
Sí.
Lo siento, sí. Sí. Vale. Bueno. Muy bien. Otros ejemplos. Aquí, sí, Pat.
Es
Kathleen.
esencial que se mantenga su carro.
Bien, bien. Excelente. Bueno, Kathleen. Oh, we can't. No te oigo. I'm not hearing you. I don't see you on mute though.
Okay, here. Okay, let me try this.
Ah,
Okay. Es increíble que Papá Noel visite todas las casas del mundo en una sola noche.
Ah, excelente. Sí, Papá Noel, Papá Noel. Hay muchos nombres. Muchas veces en México se dice Santa Claus, pero Papá
Mm.
Noel, sí, claro. Papá Noel en otros países. Muy bien. Bueno, otros ejemplos, other examples. Marcos, sí.
Now, after all these very nice ones that y'all have presented, I'm going to present the political one, but I'm going to leave the blank. You'll have to fill in the blank as you desire. So I will make it apolitical by not making it political.
Okay.
Okay.
Muy interesante.
Sigue, sigue, move on. Sí, sigue.
Here we go. Ojalá que fill in the blank. No gane las elecciones presidenciales el próximo año.
Sí, que no gane, sí. Y gracias, Marcos. Eres muy amable. Bien, sí. Buen ejemplo. Otros ejemplos. Sí, Terry.
Ojalá que mi niña, no, mi hija, te gustabas el nutcracker esta noche.
Ok, que le guste. Que le guste a Nutcracker, sí, el espectáculo, el show. A veces se usa, en algunos países se usa la palabra el show, muy inglés, pero el espectáculo de show, sí. La danza, el ballet.
Sí.
Oh, sí.
No, le guste, not gustaba. That would be.
Le guste. Gustaba is liked. Y es used to like. Bueno, es buen ejemplo. This is a good example. ¿Cómo se dice? Porque sí, importa. It does matter. ¿Cómo se dice? Let's say it's the day after Nutcracker. ¿Sí? Por ejemplo.
Mm.
El día siguiente. If you're talking about the day after, how would you say, oh, she liked it?
Gustaba.
Gustaba, that would be.
Le gustaba is más como used to like. Like she
Used-
went a bunch of times. And maybe you did take her every year. But if you're talking about the next day,
So it's imperfecto then?
No le gustó.
a veces sí, pero en este caso no. Yeah, it would be le gustó. If you're talking the day after that performance, okay, so we're talking about natural ways we would use this because gustar is confusing for a lot of reasons, right? We got the pronoun, we got the thing of it talks about, gustar takes the form of the thing that is liked, not who it is who likes it. So if you're talking the day after the performance and you say she liked it, what makes sense is to say, le gustó, le gustó. She liked it, okay? If you're talking about, you did this with her every year as a tradition, yeah, as I used to do with my kid, then it would be le gustaba. But
Okay.
le gustaba would talk about multiple performances, multiple times, okay? Repetition. Whereas le gustó would mean, oh, hey, we just got back. Hey, it was great. She liked it. Le gustó. Okay. Or if you want to bump it up, le encantó. She loved it. Le encantó. Así. Bien. Okay. Entonces, pretérito, so, bien. Okay. Ok, vale. Otro ejemplo. Another example. Otro ejemplo. Otra, sí, Diana.
Ojalá que las temperaturas en Arizona no sean altas el próximo verano.
Ok, bien, bien, bien. Gracias. Bueno, Trish.
Okay, I'm gonna make sure I'm not on mute. Mark will not like this one. Es ridículo que a las atletas profesionales se les pague tanto dinero.
Ah,
Could you
Did I
run that
say
by?
that well enough? It was
Can
kind
you
of,
run that one more time? I
yeah,
got
it was
that.
kind of choppy. I'll try.
Yeah.
Es ridículo que a las atletas profesionales se les pague tanto dinero. It's
I
ridiculous
agree.
how much professional athletes get paid,
I
sí.
agree.
even though I like watching it.
El salario, sí, okay. And if we didn't have the case, so let's take that same example and tweak it just a little bit. Now the way you did it was correct, okay?
Okay.
Because you had the insertion of a new person, atleta, sí. Es ridículo pagar if we don't name the people, see? We don't name like the faceless they, yeah? Who do the paying. Es ridículo pagar tanto dinero a los profesionales, a los atletas profesionales, sí, así. So sometimes, of course, if we don't have that que and the new person structure, it is okay to just plug in the infinitive para que sepan, so you know. Bien. Ok, vale. Otra idea, Jan.
Ojalá que gane la lotería esta semana.
Sí, sí. Y pronto van a tener una lotería en España. Hay una lotería que se llama con frecuencia, sí, el gordo, the big fat one. En España hay una lotería muy famosa y casi todo el mundo juega a la lotería en España. The Spain lottery always comes up like a couple days before Christmas. And, it is like one of those millions of euros things. And they sing out the numbers. They have choirs that come on to sing the numbers that are drawn. And it is a big deal. And people who never play the lottery any other time of the year often play for El Gordo, the big fat one. Vale, bueno. Otro ejemplo. Sí, Nora.
There's many ways this could be wrong. Es ridículo que los padres les digan sus niños el elf on the shelf es verdad.
Que les digan a sus hijos, a los niños que Elf on a Shelf es, ¿verdad? Sí. Elf on a Shelf, sí, el enano en el estante, sí, es popular. Es popular aquí en Estados Unidos, ¿verdad? Es popular.
Sí, muy.
Yo no hacía nunca esa tradición porque no sabía nada con mis hijos, pero a veces leo cosas o veo cosas en la televisión, por ejemplo, en el show, el programa de Jimmy Kimmel, muchas veces habla de la locura de mover. Hay que mover el enano de Elf. Hay que mover el enano a varias partes de la casa, ¿verdad? Cada día.
Sí.
Ujú.
y es difícil pensar en un lugar nuevo para el
Una
pobre
otra
enano.
cosa que los madres tienen, I don't know, another thing for women to do.
¿Qué hacer? Sí, es una cosa que las mamás hacen, ¿sí? Con frecuencia, ¿sí? ¿Hace algo el enano? Does the elf do something? No,
No.
no trae regalos como Papá Noel o...
Y, ah,
Oh,
los niños son malos. Elf,
ah,
saben,
entonces
sabe
el
si los
enano
niños,
tiene un trabajo de
sí,
mirar el comportamiento de los niños antes de la Navidad
sí,
y hace un reporte como a Papá Noel
sí,
del comportamiento, behavior, ¿sí? Ahora entiendo. Entonces, es como policía.
sí.
El enano es como policía para Papá Noel. Vale. Bueno, otro ejemplo, otro ejemplo. Sí, Diana.
No es posible que haya estudiado español por 4 años.
Sí,
Mm.
bien. Vale, bueno. Tengo otro ejemplo. Es, es sorprendente, es triste, es triste, es triste que haga frío esta mañana, que haga tanto frío esta mañana, ¿sí? Al salir en mi visita al dentista, tenía tuve que ponerme esta chaqueta, ¿sí? Porque, sí, hacía frío. Ok. Otro ejemplo, otro ejemplo.
Es
Marco, sí.
curioso que su computadora no trabaje al
Ah,
tiempo peor.
sí, sí. Bueno, un cambio, a little twist. When a mechanical thing doesn't work, we do not use trabajar.
Oh.
Okay, ¿vale? Entonces, we use the verb funcionar. Funcionar, function. And that's not too hard to remember because if you think about it, people work, but machines operate, right? So whenever we talk about a machine operating, whether it is, your handheld item or, sí, auriculares, headsets, and no matter the size, if it's a mechanical device or an electrical device, we funciona. Es triste que la computadora no funcione. It's sad that the computer is not working. Es frustrante que la computadora no funcione, ¿sí? Bien, pero funcione como subjuntivo aquí. Bien. Bueno, otro que Marco sí tiene.
Ojalá que mi esposa y yo viajemos más el próximo año.
Bueno, sí, ojalá que sí, ojalá que es fantástico. Ojalá is the one out of this list that people, you might hear them omitting the word que. Yo prefiero usar que, pero hay otras personas que solamente dicen ojalá. Buen ejemplo, buen ejemplo. Sí, Trish.
Es urgente. Is that how you pronounce it?
Urgente, urgente.
Urgente que mi hija lleve su perro al veterinario cuando su perro come calcetines.
Oh, ay,
Dos tiempos. Dos tiempos.
dos
Ah,
veces, dos veces.
$7,000. Wait, no. No. How do you say thousand? Is that right? I'm sorry.
1,000 mil.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I just went blank. 7,000. Yeah. Cinco, una tiempo y tres otro tiempo.
Okay, una vez y la otra vez, una vez y la otra vez,
Sí.
one time, the other time. Wow. Ay, sí.
I mean, it's not funny.
Bueno, sí, es difícil. Durante la temporada de los días feriados, during the holiday season, ¿sí? Con frecuencia, las mascotas comen cosas que no deben comer.
Chocolate.
Chocolate, como las ramitas del árbol de Navidad,
Oh.
sí, algo así. Tengo un árbol de Navidad, es un árbol de plástico realmente, no es un árbol de verdad, ¿no? Y hay un gato aquí en mi casa y a él le gusta comer las ramitas del árbol. Y después siempre vomita, siempre
Oh,
vomita. Y, ¡qué asco! ¡Qué asco! ¡Gross! ¡Qué asco! Ok, vale. Sí, Terry.
¿Por qué los animales domesticados no say, no say los algos, los cosas es malo cuando animales en el, how do you say outdoors, afuera,
Afuera, sí que viven afuera.
sabe,
Saben.
algo
¿Por qué no saben las mascotas? Pero sí, los otros animales sí saben, no debo comer eso. No es lógico, pero es así. Sí, exacto, exacto. Es difícil. Ok. Bueno, otra cosa. Algo más. Sí, sí, sí.
sí. Es una lástima que puedo poner en peso antes de Navidad.
Sí, es una lástima. It's a shame.
Sí.
It's a pity. Sí. Bueno, a ver, otros. Entonces, sí, Kathleen.
Es sorprendente que anoche nevara.
Okay. And now, careful with past, there's going to be a past. So if you say anoche, I don't want to get into how that's going to change yet because we have enough mind blowing with subjunctive as it is, but we'll talk about it another time. You see, bien? So careful you keep it in present and don't insert a word like anoche. Although, I mean, if you need to communicate that to somebody, they'll kind of get it.
So
There,
how
there
would you
is a
say it's surprising that it snowed last night? You just use the past?
es sorprendente que sí, que nevara anoche. Es sorprendente que haya nevado. Here's an easy workaround. Es sorprendente que haya nevado. It's surprising that it has snowed because you kind of know that haya. So if you use haya nevado, it has snowed. It gets that past idea out there.
Okay.
And
Mhm.
yeah, and that might be the easiest way. There is a past subjunctive and it is rather complicated to learn to construct. It is not as easy to construct as this one that we're doing now. And it's got kind of more rules with it. So we're gonna sidestep that for now. Bien. So haya nevado. It has snowed. It gets the past idea around, and it still can use that subjunctive there that way. Vale. Bueno, otros ejemplos tuyos. Any other examples of yours?
Ojalá que nuestro vecino horrible se mude.
Okay. Bien. Muy
Did you
bien.
just say you hope that the terrible neighbor moves?
Yes.
Se muda. Se mude. A veces sí hay vecinos que son desagradables, ¿verdad? Una vez tengo una amiga y ella vivía en esa área de Scottsdale donde es difícil obtener agua, ¿saben? Sí.
Oh, sí.
En ese barrio, sí, está fuera de la ciudad de Scottsdale oficialmente. Bueno, entonces, esta amiga tenía un vecino tan desagradable que él caminaba por el barrio con su rifle, con su rifle. He would walk around the neighborhood with his rifle.
Oh,
¡Ah!
Ah,
A veces, ¿sí? Cuando estaba enojado, when he was mad. Sí. El más agradable, el vecino más agradable, el vecino más desagradable del mundo. The most disagreeable neighbor in the world. Y se mudó. Por fin se mudó. And finally he moved. Bien. Qué alivio. What a relief. Qué alivio para ella. Muy bien. Bueno, otros ejemplos. Otros ejemplos. No, nada. Bien. Vale. I think it's it's getting a little bit easier for you to, you're certainly making good examples of these. And it sounds like it's coming quite a bit, perdón, quite a bit easier for you. Okay, bien. Vale, adelante. Moving on, I'm looking to get my share screen up here. Momentito. La foto, sí, es importante. Este video, this kind of silly video that we had, see? The guy with his Rambo headband thing. Bien? And he's not totally being, he's being a little tongue-in-cheek about survival guide stuff. But we had a little guide, and we had some examples. I tried to pull up some examples here of where he used some of these frases impersonales, these expresiones impersonales, and with the minute guide. So I want to just show some of those to you here, and then we're going to go through kind of the ones that did not use impersonal expressions to see other examples of when subjunctive pops up. So, okay, vale. He had lots of importante, sí, es importante que. Es importante que tu mente esté bien. It's important that your mind is
good.
is in good shape. Yeah, is in working well. See, that your mind is well. Es muy importante que hagas ejercicio mental. It's important that you do mental
Exercise.
Sí, bien. Aquí no. Here, no subjunctive. Es muy importante para no perder la cabeza. It is very important in order to not lose your head, meaning lose your good judgment. Yeah. Para no perder la cabeza, to not lose your ability to think clearly. Okay. And there we did not need it. We didn't talk about any person. We don't have the word que in there. So structurally, that means es muy importante and, perder, just the infinitive. That works there. We don't have a que, we don't have a human being. They're not talking about tú. They're not talking about tu mente, your brain. Okay. So just the infinitive there. But then the subjunctive comes back with una frase, una expresión impersonal. Es muy importante que pienses. It's very important that you think about something. And it's a tú form. So, tú is implied, but not stated because it's used in the verb. Y entonces sí es probable que ni siquiera quieras intentarlo. It's probable that you won't even want to try it. See, ni siquiera means not even.
Marilyn,
Sí.
Marilyn, I have a question. It might be really basic, but I still feel like I should ask.
Okay.
On the one with losing your head, I get confused when it has la versus like su cabeza.
Okay.
How do you know that when you're trying to say it in Spanish?
Okay, probably the best rule of thumb to use in this kind of case is that when we're talking about body parts, 90% of the time you will not use a me, tú,
Okay.
su.
Okay.
It'll always be la. Body
Okay.
parts, yeah. It's not to say you'll never hear it, because you will from time to time. And when you do, it means they're being kind of emphatic about something for some reason. It's a contextual thing. But in the vast majority of times that we talk about body parts, whereas we in English will say your head, your feet, or your
Okay.
hands, it'll be just the
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Por ejemplo, sí, siempre me lavo las manos. I always wash my hands. Siempre me lavo las manos. And it's always said as las manos, even though obviously I'm washing my hands. En inglés se dice específicamente my hands, pero en español siempre es las manos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Una
Gracias.
pregunta.
Sí.
Sí, ¿es necesario tener para en la ¿cómo frase? Es muy importante para no perder la cabeza. ¿Es necesario tener para?
Es buena pregunta. Es muy importante no perder. A veces no necesitas para. He did phrase that with the para. You could hear it possibly without the para in that case. Es muy importante no perder la cabeza. I would think he probably used para there because really we were being very emphatic about it's very important in order that you don't lose your head. It's important that you keep yourself grounded kind of idea. Yeah. And that in order to was kind of specific in his message. So when we say the in order to, it's good to insert that word para. Okay.
Thank you.
Bien.
I did like his bow and arrow. Pretty funny.
That was kind of cheesy, wasn't it? Yeah.
The whole thing was funny. It was a good choice.
Yeah. Sí. Yeah. Your ability to get a whole lot of nutrition or whatever you're going to use is not going to be great. With that. Okay. Bien. Vale. Now, And the reason I had sent you this video is that it really illustrates how common it is to hear a really high percentage of our expressions coming out in subjunctive, how often that can happen. It can be a very high percentage of any discussion, presentation, video, normal conversation. Subjunctive winds up coming up quite a lot, and it came up in a lot of situations that were not necessarily, the impersonal phrases. And here in these cases, this is where that acronym that you keep hearing people come up with pops up. The acronym is weirdo. Okay. And I guarantee you that people who learn Spanish, who grow up in a Spanish speaking country, would think this was kind of unusual. Or like, why do you need this word weirdo, which they don't, it's obviously not a Spanish word. This is just an acronym. And it is something, each letter in weirdo stands for a contextual reason, what they call a trigger, meaning a situation is set up that will mean I must use subjunctive, okay? Because for us to learn to form the subjunctive itself is not that big a deal, okay? That thing of start with the yo form and present, presente, get rid of the o and just swap out the opposite vowel for that infinitive. That's not that bad, okay? And once you get used to it and you do a few examples, you're like, yeah, I got the hang of this. But why we use subjunctive can be very, very tricky for English speakers. And it will pop up over and over again in some situations that maybe you don't know. And when it's a situation you don't know, we might be able to pop it into one of these, meaning wishes or wants, verbs of emotion. That's a tough one for English speakers. It just happens whenever you say somebody is happy, that somebody else is doing something. Somebody is sad, that somebody else is doing something. You're okay. That's verb of emotion. But notice, I'm happy to help, because if I say I'm happy to help, I am happy and I am doing the helping. I am happy that the kids are helping. That needs subjunctive because it's a verb of emotion. Okay. Me alegro de que mis hijos me ayuden. I am happy that my kids are helping. We've got to have that injection of a second, different person, right, from the first part of the sentence. Okay, so verbs of wishing and wanting, verbs of emotion, the impersonal phrases, which is what we were focusing on for a few weeks there, a couple weeks. Any verb that talks about recommendations. So that means verbs like recomendar, sugerir, even pedir. Okay. Verbs of because you recommend that somebody else does something. Okay, again, a second different person comes into the picture. Verbs of doubt, that is a tough one for English speakers to understand because we overthink it. Just think in terms of dudar and or no creo que. Dudar, think of these two verbs. There are more than these two, but these are the two biggies. Dudar or no creo que. Okay. And we're going to come back to dudar in a minute. And the wonderful, wonderful ojalá. And everybody loves ojalá because you don't have to do anything to the word ojalá. It is always just that. Okay. Meaning God willing or hopefully, meaning you wish that something were going to happen. Okay. Bien. Let's come back to that dudar. That D part of weirdo means doubt. And here is the part that is one of the subjunctive issues that is really tough to maybe get used to. Often when you hear people using subjunctive in Spanish, they could be doing it because they think a situation is not going to happen at all. They think it's super unlikely that that situation exists. So subjunctive, besides all these prompts suggested by the weirdo acronym, subjunctive often indicates a situation where things are actually contrary to fact. Contrary to fact meaning this situation doesn't exist at all. And that's why we use subjunctive. It's not in the real world of what is really happening at this time. Okay, so I'm going to give you a doubt example just so that you can kind of wrap your mind around it. If you're looking to hire somebody at your office, okay? No creo, o dudo que, no creo que haya un candidato adecuado. No creo que haya un candidato adecuado para esta posición. I don't think there is a really adequate candidate for this position. And what you're saying is, doesn't even exist. All these people we've seen, out of here. Not going to fit, yeah? So that means, contrary to fact, the person to fill that spot isn't out there right now. And that's why they use subjunctive. So you'll hear these come up. Okay, let's take a look at some of these examples and see if you can kind of figure out, and here they use tener, hasta que tengas muy claro. Hasta luego means,
Until we see each other.
yeah, so hasta que is,
Until later.
yeah, hasta que is until
Until you have clarity or you're clear in your head.
until you got it clear, until you got it straight up here, yeah? And what does that mean? That means that right now you, and notice it's conjugated for tú, so we're talking to a person, yeah? So what it means is that you haven't got this straight. Yeah, that you don't really understand it. See, tengo claro, have it clear, means you understand something, you totally get it. Yeah. Hasta que tengas muy claro, until you've got it really straight in your head, until you really understand it. Okay. And he's using subjunctive. Hasta que can be sometimes, but not always. Sometimes a prompt. But because he's putting it in here, he's saying, you really don't understand it right now. It's contrary to fact kind of situation. Okay. So when you hear it come up from a native speaker, I'm not saying you should be able to use it perfectly with hasta que every time. But when you hear it come up, what should be popping into your head is, ooh, you really don't understand it right now. He's implying that I'm
Would that
schooling
fit
you
under the
in this.
doubt, maybe? I'm kind of looking at my
Right.
weird.
It's a doubt thing. Yeah. It's a
Okay.
doubt. It's a contrary to fact. It's a doubt thing. Sí. Eso. Bien. Okay. Siguiente. Si hay algo que pueda ayudarme.
If there is,
If there is something,
That
you can help me with.
Mhm.
if there is something that can help me, and here it's a good idea to inject, if there's something that might help me. And I think at this point he was like looking around at like what in his surrounding might be useful from that survivalist situation. Yeah. Meaning, this is kind of a contrary to fact thing. there might not be anything around here that would help me. I'm looking around. Anything here that might be able to help me out? Here is about about the closest we get to present subjunctive in English that maybe makes sense. Something that might help me, meaning it's a maybe, but a not for sure. Yeah. Subjunctive always talks about what it is, not for sure, what is doubtful. Yeah. Bien. Here, the hará is just a future tense, and it's from hacer. It will make it, hará que tú ganas, que tú ganas de pelear, hará que tú ganas de pelear por tu vida disminuyan. And this comes from disminuir. It will make it so that your desire to fight
for
your life
diminishes,
goes this way.
diminish.
Yeah, diminishes. Something will make you lose hope. Yeah, it'll diminish your it'll make it so that your hope to hang on, right, flushes down the toilet, so to speak. Yeah. Meaning, again, it's like a doubtful situation. Okay. Más normal. This is a more normal kind of use of subjunctive. Cuando might or might not use subjunctive. So let me tell you something about cuando, because it depends on the context. If I use cuando, when, to talk about habits, things that are done frequently as as an everyday thing or as a habit, then I don't use subjunctive, because I'm just saying, oh, this pattern repeats. Okay. Por ejemplo, cuando voy al súper, pago con mi tarjeta. When I go to the supermarket, I pay with my debit card. Okay, por ejemplo. And I'm talking about what happens every time I go to the supermarket. Okay, so presente, plain old. And when we talk about presente, present, it means el indicativo del presente, the indicative of the present, which means the present tense that you first learn when you learn Spanish. Okay. But if I use cuando to talk about something kind of out in the future and I don't really know when it's going to happen, okay, not a habit, but something that is going to happen, maybe, but maybe not. I don't really know. It's talking about something out there in the future and very, very vague. Then subjunctive might work, like cuando vayas al súper. Cuando vayas al súper, ¿sí? Cómprame, por favor, un galón de leche. When you go to the supermarket, get me a gallon of milk. All right. Meaning, I don't know when you're going to the supermarket. I'm not talking about what you do every week. But you know, you might be out. Yeah, you might be out there. You might not be out there. I don't know when. I have no clue when that's going to happen yet. So then it becomes subjunctive. So let's take a look at this little example he had. Cuando haya una situación, when there
might be a situation.
When there is a situation, but we maybe need to phrase that more as when there might be a situation. See, when there may be a situation, meaning that situation is not for sure. and it possibly could happen in the future, but we don't really know for sure one way or the other if it will really happen. All right. So he's not talking about a habit, a pattern that is predictable that we do all the time, but rather something that could or might not happen. And then we need a subjunctive. ¿Sí? Bien. No dejes que el miedo te controle. The no dejes que here means something specific. You know, dejar is to leave something behind. And here, this is a command.
Don't let your fear control you.
Don't let your fear control you. And here is our subjunctive.
Mm.
Controle. And why do you think we use subjunctive there?
Because maybe you will.
Yeah, don't let your fear control you, but it's a hypothetical kind of situation. Yeah.
So after the K, it becomes subjunctive.
See, and we've got a command, don't let this happen. We're talking about a very hypothetical situation that is not really going on right now. Yeah. Don't let fear control you. Okay. Okay. Hace que actuemos mal, que no pensemos. And remember, a lot of these are the whole hypothetical situation. It makes it so that we act badly, that we don't think, meaning like think straight. Okay. So it makes, he's talking about just, again, the situation of being lost somewhere. Yeah. Bien. It makes us do this. It makes us do this. It's like an external thing controlling our actions. That's why that subjunctive is coming in. But you see how many examples we've got. Hay otra página. Sí, hay otra página. ¿Sí? Puede hacer que no actuemos bien. It can make it so that we
Behave well.
we don't act well. We
well.
don't act in our own interests. See? Bien? And this one he repeats a couple of times. No puedo esperar, and here esperar doesn't mean wait for, but it means expect. Here esperar means expect. I can't expect that
Another person will come to rescue me.
that another person might come.
Might come.
Yeah, here the Bengas really might come or may come to rescue me. We're really talking about something that is very iffy, could happen in the future, could not happen in the future. We don't know. Super in that kind of la la land, right? Twilight zone. We don't know what's going to happen, right? Again, that idea of may or might come kind of helps you get an idea that it's uncertain. Según el sitio en el que lo vea, according to the place in which he might see it. You know, these are just some examples of when you're going to hear this subjunctive. Cuando eso te pase, when this might happen to
You.
And it's a cuando, which is not a habit. You don't like every week say, I think I'll go get lost out in the desert. you know, nobody does that as a habit, right? When this might happen to you, when this kind of situation might occur to you and you're stuck in it. ¿Sí? Bien. This comes from pasar, but it's got the subjunctive. Cuando eso te pase, ¿sí? ¿Os gustaría que yo hicieran? This is an example of a past. This is how weird the past subjunctive will look and why we're not getting into it yet. Would you like that I make another video like this, is what he was saying. But this shows you how weird the past subjunctive looks. All right, we're not going to get into it right yet, but it's yeah, it's a tough thing to form, and it has different kinds of things in the front setup, which we call the triggers. It's got something it's not present tense, but a different kind of a past idea kind of tense. So this, yeah, would you like that I should make this? Yeah. It's again a hypothetical. And even in his little subscribe sentence, suscríbete, subscribe now, see? To find out when the next series is
Gonna
coming.
arrive.
And he's talking about the future, and he doesn't know when the next video is going to come out, right? He's talking about a future situation, and it's vague. I don't have a firm idea when it will happen. So because this situation of the next video coming out is not a reality yet, we have to put that into subjunctive with cuando, because it is the future and it is not really happening yet. When the next series arrives, or we might say comes out. Bien? Okay. ¿Vale? ¿Sí? ¿Tienen otra pregunta? Do you have any other kind of question on any of those little funky things? You'll hear them come up. Don't feel you have to be able to use all those situations right now, because that would get you very tense. Yeah. But listen for it. And when you hear a verb that you think, oh, that's wrong. No, it's not wrong. They're using subjunctive. They're setting you up for a may or a might situation, right? Bien? Any other little questions about that? So, be prepared to hear it, is what I'm saying. Nada. No? Bien? Okay.
Me gusta el video. Me gusta mucho el video.
Es divertido.
Muy divertido.
¿sí?
Sí, sí, sí.
No habla en serio. De verdad, no habla en serio. He's not really talking seriously there, but just kind of fun. He has a few other kind of good videos in the queue, some of which we'll give you one for the hiatus. I think he's in the one for the hiatus. Is he? Sí. Eso sí. Okay. Vale. Bien. I promised to, oh, no. You have the subway video, see?
Sí.
Did you have any questions about that? That was designed to be kind of more of a no-brainer. Bien?
Muy interesante.
Muy interesante, sí. Es muy interesante que hay un espacio reservado para mujeres
Sí.
en el metro.
Una idea muy buena.
Muy buena idea, sí. ¿Y por qué? Porque hay un espacio dedicado, reservado solamente para mujeres. Para no molestar para no molestarles a las mujeres, so that the women don't get hassled. Yeah, well, especially if you're young and, yeah.
I was confused as to whether they were saying it's okay to ride as a woman alone if you just go in the woman's car.
Sí,
Okay.
yeah. They did feel. Now, this is Ciudad de Mexico, in Mexico City. You know, big subway network. And one thing that I think some people are not prepared for is it is a very packed subway. It is kind of like what you picture when you think of New York City subway, where people are packed in like sardines. It can, during like rush hour times, be like that there because of the size of the city, the number of people using public transportation. It can be super packed together, crowded, where you're literally a little sardine in the can, you know? So, bien. Vale. Okay. We had a lot of requests for a review on Boripara.
Sí, 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 sí.
Boripara. So we're going to take a little tour down memory lane of what happens with Boripara. And it's good to think of Boripara not really so much as the word for all the time. Yeah, I know. Para especially often does mean for, but para has more than one potential definition, and por has definitely
I
way
probably
more.
I probably need a high school worksheet that's a homework worksheet where I fill in the blank,
Ah,
Mhm.
50 of them.
funny you should mention that. Well,
Oh,
okay.
good.
Here's what you will see.
Oh, good.
Here's what you will see. Para can, for English speakers, again, be a rather complex kind of thing. And you are going to see kind of a thing. And actually, there's a fill in the blank, but the fill in the blank is going to come up on the video feed. There are a lot of rules, guys. Okay. There are a lot of rules. I would say, muy bueno. Para mí, en mi opinión, para es más fácil. I think wrapping our mind around using para is probably a little bit easier for the English speaker, okay? Because you can reduce para to a smaller number of situations that are easy to grasp and easy to get, okay? And so we're going to take a look at actually para first. This is still a lot of situations, but this whole idea of a recipient, when you say this thing is for somebody, okay, which is maybe the most frequent use of that word for, it's going to be para. A recipient is para, okay? Meaning you give something to somebody, all right? And so that one is easy for us to understand. El regalo es para mi nieto. The gift is for my grandkid. See? O por ejemplo, sí, esta llave es para el auto. This key is for the car, meaning this key doesn't go in the door. Yeah, it's for the car. See? For as recipient gets para. And the other one that is kind of easy for us to remember is this one, purpose or goal. And you saw one of these in our little examples. This para that means in order to. Para followed by an infinitive. Por can be followed by an infinitive, but it's got a different meaning. I would say percentage-wise, you hear para with an infinitive more frequently, a lot more frequently. Anytime you can insert the idea of in order to with an infinitive, para is the right choice. So those two things, recipient and the in order to plus an infinitive. Those are easy for us to wrap our mind around, okay, for rules. Let me give you an example of the para with an infinitive.
Could you make that with your screen larger?
You know what? This one I cannot. Oh, sí, quizá. Oh, sí, puedo. Different button. Hay otro botón. Different button. Aquí. Okay. Necesito más dinero para comprar un Ferrari. I need more money to buy it. We might say it in English. I need more money to buy a Ferrari, but we can insert in there as an alternative in English. I need more money in order to buy a Ferrari. All right. And it doesn't change the meaning. I can change the English wording. If you can change the English wording to say in order to, para plus infinitive works. Para plus infinitive is much more commonly used than por plus infinitive, which we won't get into yet today, but because this is a common structure, okay? Otro ejemplo, another example of this para plus infinitive. Para entender el español, un estudiante tiene que practicar. Para entender, in order to understand. See? Trabajo aquí para ganar dinero. I work here in order to earn money. Trabajo aquí para ganar dinero. I work here to earn money. See? Cocino cada día para dar buena comida a mi familia. I cook to make good food for my family. See? Manejo a Scottsdale para ir al dentista. I drive to Scottsdale to go to the dentist. Manejo a Scottsdale para ir a mi cita con el dentista. So, in order to, and this is a kind of structure that comes up a lot. So, if you remember nothing else about por and para, remembering this para plus an infinitive is super common, super useful. It pops up frequently. Is good to know. And para for that recipient idea. Bien? Okay. And if you wrap your idea around or your head around that idea of those two things with para, you're in pretty good shape in the por and para dichotomy. Okay. Bien? But here is one thing that we're going to talk about generally with this idea of it's a more general, less rule-oriented way of looking at por and para. And the more general way that I would like you to think about with por and para is para always indicates an end point. You want to go there. Para very, very often talks about a destination, and that may be a very abstract idea of a destination, or it could be a time-related idea of destination. I'll show you in a sec. It could be a actual geographical location as a destination. Aha, okay? But destination, endpoint, meaning, it's like straight. Do not pass go, do not collect $100. It's like the go straight, don't think about it, go straight. You want to end up at point X. You want to end up at point X. That expresses a bigger general idea of why we use para. Okay? But maybe not strictly in that recipient sense. Okay, so let's take a look at this example. Vamos para la casa. This is using a geographical illustration of that end point. And it means we're going to the house. Well, wait a minute. Why didn't you just say, I thought you say, vamos a la casa. Yeah, you can say it either way. Okay. When we talk about moving to a place, going to a place, winding up at a place, that is where we want to wind up as our end point geographically. There are times when people may use para instead of a. Okay. But that means they want to end up at that place after the word para. Okay. And often we use a, but you may hear people using para. Okay. That is the geographic idea of X marks the spot, endpoint. But there's also a time-related version of that. And that is using para to talk about a deadline. Using para to talk about where we want to wind up, where we want to finish off, but in terms of space, or excuse me, in space of, in the sense of time related communication. Okay. Francisco necesita sus zapatos nuevos para el sábado. Francisco needs his new shoes by Saturday. Like maybe he's having resold or something. Yeah. When we mean a deadline, time related thing, I need something by this day. Okay. We use para. Again, that deadline means an endpoint, but it's a time-related endpoint. El reporte es para viernes. The report is due Friday. It's for Friday, meaning it's due Friday. It's got to be finished by Friday. See? Bien? Okay, so para, the big idea is destination, endpoint, where we wind up at the end, and it could be a physical space, it could be related to time. Okay? Okay. And one last thing that's good to know about para is this one. It's often called comparison, but yeah. Para un gringo, el muchacho habla bien el español. For a gringo, that boy speaks Spanish pretty well. Meaning, considering he's this, yeah, para. And that doesn't fit into some of these rules all that well. Para un, para un gringo. Ok, otro ejemplo. Para un niño de 10 años, for a 5-year-old. Para un niño de 10 años, de 5 años, lo que sea. El chico es muy inteligente. For a kid of this number of years, he's really intelligent. He's really smart. Kind of meaning you're comparing him to every other kid of that age. Meaning you think kids of that age are probably kind of goofy. And maybe not that smart as a general rule, but he's an exception. Yeah, we use para for that. Okay. Por is very, very, por is very, very difficult. Por has lots of reasons, but here are some key things that you should know where people make mistakes and it can be confusing. Okay. Por is always used for in exchange for. And I wouldn't worry about substitution too much, but in exchange for. Meaning if you're paying for something, yeah, you're talking about the amount of money you pay for something, that's when we need por. Okay. I paid $5 for that. Pagué $5 por eso. All right. Money has exchanged hands. Yeah. You're talking about the amount of money you spent to buy something. Then we need por. This is also used for something like maybe not for buying something, but saying thanks for something abstract. Por ejemplo, gracias por tu ayuda. Thanks for your help. I'm not giving you money for your help, but I'm giving you verbal thanks. It's still an exchange, even though it's an abstract thing. See? Okay. Vale. See? Bien. Another super frequent use of por is when we talk about by means of, like somebody talks to you by means of, and we usually won't use the by means of in English. We'll say you're talking to you on the phone, or you communicate on the internet. See?
Or via.
Via is a great translation. Sí, vaya, by means of. All right. Hablamos por teléfono. We're speaking by phone, meaning by means of the phone. But usually we say in English we're talking on the phone, but it means that the phone is your means of communicating. You're not face to face. Sí, bien. Mi novia fue a España por avión. My girlfriend went to Spain by plane. Yeah, she didn't get on a ship and sail on a cruise. She went by plane. See? And okay, so it's for means of communication or for means of travel. Yeah. Por is pretty frequent. So that by means of exchange is important. And here is another one that is a good one to know. Because there's so many rules with por. Duration of time, right? Deadline of time is para. Referring to time for a deadline, you've got to use para. But how long something is going on is por. Okay. Bailamos por 3 horas el viernes. We danced for 3 hours. That's not talking about a deadline. It's talking about how long we were on the dance floor, right? Bailamos por 3 horas el viernes.
So could you say that whenever there's a number involved, because the other ones down here, $18, 120 kilometers. If there are numbers, is it pretty generally poor?
Well, not necessarily. Okay. Let's put it this way. Frequently, sí.
Okay.
But there's always an example. So let me give you an example of a deadline, that will still use numbers.
Sí.
Okay. Por ejemplo, sí, aquí el formulario, this paperwork, el formulario es para el 30 o es para el 31 de diciembre. This is for this is due the 31st of December. If the deadline is a date on the calendar, you may hear a number and you think, oh, por, I hear a number. So, and it won't be, because we're talking about like when I've got to get that paperwork in, right? But in a lot of cases where there's a number, yeah, in a lot of cases, it will be por. Okay. This unit of measure one. Yeah. Mi abuela maneja a 120 kilómetros por hora per hour. Okay. That one's kind of an easy one to memorize. Per hour for speed. Yeah, it's por. It goes back to an old Latin thing that means per in English. So that one's not too tough. Okay. I want to show you just a little snippet. I'll send you the full video. It's a long video. You won't, you'll get the benefit of the whole thing. And because we've got a lot of time off, you can watch, well, we're going to watch part of this together. And the first part, he's going to slide right through a whole bunch of things. So you really have to hit the pause button, but I'll give you the
Vamos a hablar
fill
de
in the blanks for
algunas
this.
diferencias entre por y para. So, in Spanish, many of us gringos Gringos often confuse these two words in the Spanish language. I could break it down into rules, but first, let's see how well you do on a little quiz. Pause the video if you need more time and check the word bank if you aren't
And it's
sure
going to go
about a
through the
word.
reasons for all of these. And now watch how fast these are going to fly by. No, you're never going to get them all. I can't even get them all that fast. He's just summing them
Let's
up.
see how you
I'll give
did.
you the fill in the blanks to
Número
go with.
uno. Esa iglesia fue diseñada por Gaudí.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a quick rundown because we're counting down to just a few minutes left. Esa iglesia fue diseñada por Gaudí. This church was designed by Gaudí. By. This is a passive voice thing, right? The church didn't design anything. The church didn't get out a paper and pad and design something. It's passive voice, meaning the church doesn't really do anything. The church was designed, and then we tell who did it, and the who did it part is expressed by por Gaudí. By Gaudí, right? Bien? This is technically called an agent thing. Gaudí is the agent. He's the person actually doing the action, but it's a passive voice, meaning whoever is the subject of the sentence isn't actually doing that action of designing. Okay.
Estábamos en el carro y andábamos para la tienda.
We were in the car and we were going around here, and that means going around, and we were going around and we wanted to end up at the store. Para la tienda. You could say a la tienda and be perfectly correct. A la tienda. But para la tienda means that's our end point. We're going to wind up at the store when we finish this thing of driving around. And here he had it in the past. Yeah.
Número 3. Siempre caminamos por el parque.
Siempre caminamos por el parque. This is this is a super important use of por. Por here means really around. It has a meandering. Rather than go to X marks the spot, por means, all over. We might say through the park or around the park. It can also mean along. Through, around, along. Meaning in a general vicinity, meandering, but I'm not talking about where I wind up at the end. It's not talking about a destination.
But on this one, as I was kind of waiting for him to show the, fill in the blank there, I'm thinking we always used to drive to the park as a destination.
This is a situation where both por and para are grammatically both correct, but they have two very different meanings. So I'm going to illustrate. Sometimes, not 100% by any means, but sometimes both por and para might be grammatically correct, but they convey a very different meaning. And this is one. Siempre caminamos por el parque means we always walk through the park, or we always walk around the park. You're talking about like wandering all over that spot. Well, that was a bad glitch. Okay. I saw myself phrase that. I got that's mine. Okay. Por el parque is around for, but meandering. You're not really talking about where you wind up. It is also possible to express this as siempre caminamos para el parque. And then it means we always walk to get to the park. And that's our end point. And if I use para el parque, it means I want to wind up in the park. And I may just sit my behind down on a bench and just sit there. Yeah. But the por means I'm moving all over. The por is I'm moving everywhere. Yeah. Para means I want to wind up there. See? Bien?
Yes.
Both would be correct, but they have very different meanings. Okay. Here's a per example.
When you went offline there, we lost your what you were showing.
Oh, it didn't. Gracias. Thank you. Because I had the blip. It took me off. Ooh, and it turned off my sound too. Okay. I'll say it for you here. Los ciclistas iban a 50 kilómetros por hora. The cyclists were going at 50 kilometers per hour. Speed. Yeah? Speed per hour. Okay.
Número 5. Mi amigo me dio $10 por mi camiseta.
My friend gave me $10 for my t-shirt. He paid me to get this t-shirt. Yeah, this is the in exchange for. This is, I give you money, you give me something else back. See, yeah? This is paying money for something. Okay, that will always be por, paying money for something.
Los muchachos compraron pastel para su mamá.
Ah, the kids bought a cake for their mom. Para su mamá. Los muchachos compraron pastel para su mamá. And this is recipient, right? Who gets that thing we call pastel? Who gets pastel? Mamá, right? Mom gets it, probably mom's birthday, right? And mom is getting a cake, or Mother's Day, maybe. El Día de las Madres, sí. El Día de las Madres, quizás. O un cumpleaños. It's for mom, straight out recipient. Mom is the end point. She receives the cake. Okay.
Número 7. Jugamos al fútbol por 6 horas.
We played soccer for 6 hours. This is a duration of time. Not a deadline, a duration of time. How long was it going on? Okay. That needs por.
Número 8. Pedro quiere ahorrar dinero para comprarle un anillo a su novia.
Pedro wants to save money to buy his girlfriend a ring. And here we can insert the idea. It makes sense in English to insert the idea of Pedro wants to save money in order to buy her ring. This is para plus an infinitive, and it means in order to do something. Bien? See? Vale. He's going to march through all of these. I know some of you have to.
My daughter got a ring on Friday.
See? Bien.
Oh, wow.
Sí. Perfecto. Sí. So he's going to go through all these and he's going to relate it to those. So I'm going to send you both this video and the little list of reasons. Yeah. So that you can check yourselves and check your answers and see all the reasons behind it and have him explain all of that. See? Vale? See? Bien. Since this is the last class, we're going to have you're going to have a video that is just a fun video. Some people talking about different terms they use in different countries, talking about the same object, but they have different words for it. And it is not like the ones I've usually heard before. A few were kind of repeats of some videos I've seen on similar topics, but some were very, very different. It was fun. A lot of fun. So it'll be something to do when you've got some downtime in between visitors and such. See? Bien. Y eso es, that's it. Para hoy, sí.
I'm looking at my calendar. The 8th is a Monday.
The 8th is a Monday. So
Our first class is the 10th.
10th.
Okay.
See, we'll start up the 10th and still 10 o'clock, all that the same. You'll still get the link on Fridays and but you won't get it for a while. I'm not going to send the link now because Are you really gonna keep a 3 meal or a 2.5 week old no email? Of course you're not. Delete that sucker. Yeah. Bien. Sí, todo bien.
Sí,
Gracias.
Ustedes son muy
Feliz
amables. You guys
Navidad.
are great.
Navidad.
Sí. And
Gracias.
Nora, don't go off quite yet.
Navidad.